Hey guys, Dylan here, and we are doing another quickie discussion today. Today's quickie discussion is on Japanophilia, which that's probably the only Ophelia thing Christian will get as of right now. I appreciate the portions of Japan culture that promote cleanliness in the home, showing gratitude, and those good and kind gestures. That's a weird quote from Christian. Japanophilia is the appreciation and love of Japanese culture, people, history, and media. Since his youth, Chris has been fond of Japanese media and culture. Sonic, Pokemon, PlayStation, and anime were all Japanese creations that Chris enjoys. While Japanophilia is a well-established concept existing in Western society since the latter half of the 19th century, with the opening of Japan and becoming amplified in the scope of popularity since the 1960s, Chris's love of Japan is on a whole different level. Chris has been known to prefer Japanese media over American alternatives, PS3 over Hexbox, Sonic over the adventures of the American Rabbit, though one can't blame Chris for leaving that behind. He has stated that a lot of media is better in Japanese, which I doubt he can even keep up with the subtitles, just being honest. He also ranked Japan second on his list of countries he wants to visit. I really doubt he could ever go to Japan, just saying, since going to Buckingham Palace to claim his crown is more important to him. Oh, great. I would love to see Chris go to England. I have friends there that would love to meet him. In reality, Chris knows next to nothing about Japan, and a good chunk of his knowledge comes from anime and parodies of anime. People, main article, Chris and race/Asians, very appropriately named. Chris seems to have a favorable opinion of Japanese people. He didn't exclude Japanese women from his love quest, which is very important, and has said he would date and go deeper with Japanese women. Despite this, his tendency to not care about people other than himself arises here. He has regularly confused Chinese and Japanese people, and has also created a stereotypical Asian character, which is probably Punchy Sonichu. Culture. Chris claims to be a huge fan of Japanese culture. When asked what he liked about their culture, he said that he liked their technology, ninjas, kung fu, which is actually Chinese martial art, not Japanese, and the peaceful way of life outside of violence. I don't think you know shit about Japan, Chris. What the last part means is anyone's guess. I know, it's the most stereotypical shit ever, and it's incorrect. Chris also spends $31.50 per month on the premium edition of Tokyo Treat Box, which I'm glad he can still afford somehow, which gets him some snacks and trinkets all the way from Japan. Till date, Chris has spent over $1,000 on this since at least October 2017. Very good that that's what your money is going towards, Chris, instead of anything else you need. Language. Chris has shown interest in the Japanese language, which I know he's too dumb to understand, which he said he could learn any language instantly. He would pick Japanese. Currently, like all things Chris knows, his actual knowledge of Japanese is quite shallow, which isn't that shocking. I knew people who spoke Japanese and they say it's a very hard language to learn, which I doubt he could ever learn. He uses popular weeaboo words such as arigato, kawaii, sayonara, and senpai. A troll in Mailbag 3 compared Chris to a gay man in Japanese, but he was oblivious to it. In his words for Miyamoto, he pronounced these Japanese names incorrectly. He also used the horrific san incorrectly. And if you want to know more about the Miyamoto thing, me and Rogue already watched the Miyamoto video, go check that out. In November 2017, he was contacted by the Idea Guys to make a drawing of himself in Sailor Moon, where they speak in Japanese, the dialogue translated into meme and statements mocking Chris, and not what Chris thought it meant. And also, that's not Sailor Moon, that's a different Sailor Scout, which I'm not even into Sailor Moon, and I know that's not Sailor Moon, but whatever, who cares, apparently the quickie doesn't. Games. Chris has been playing video games since he was a child. He has played many video games from Japan, such as Sonic, many first-party Nintendo titles such as Animal Crossing and Pokemon series, but Chris has also played many games made in Europe and the US such as Little Big Planet, Mod Nation Racers, and Guitar Hero, which I've done videos on all of those by the way, so his taste in video games are much more varied. His taste in consoles, however, are much different. He was a huge Sony fanboy, buying anything they would put out. He also showed tolerance to the Wii. His hate for the Xbox, the only major non-Japanese console, mostly stemmed from Chris's brand loyalty, more so than any hatred for it not being Japanese. He may have chosen the PlayStation as it was Japanese, but hated the Xbox because it was a rival to the PlayStation, and not because it wasn't Japanese. That's kind of a redundant sentence, by the way. The reason he didn't show resentment to the Wii could be because it wasn't considered to be a competitor to the PlayStation 3, and he is a large Nintendo fan. That's probably correct. Television. Chris, being a huge connoisseur of TV shows and movies, has stated his deep interest in anime multiple times. He watches anime with Japanese audio and English subtitles, and enjoys Japanese animation over American animation, which that's a lot of people nowadays, as he considers anime stories and art styles to be superior to American counterparts. I say it depends on the story, but whatever. He also likes the fact that censorship is more latent in Japan, due to which some minor cuss words are allowed in TV Y-rated shows. His interest in anime peaked after he met Megan, to the point where he started incorporating anime-esque art styles into his comics, which looked really bad. He continues to use the same art style to this day, although with minor changes. I think it's heavily modified. I don't think that's a fair comparison. I've seen his art, it looks completely different. He tried to take a My Little Pony look for a bit, but it looked like shit, and I told him to stop it, and luckily he changed his art style, but who knows when he'll change it again. Many tropes he uses in the comics are also directly lifted from the series, as XL Saga, Dragon Ball, and Sailor Moon. Chris also finds many of the Japanese theme songs to be superior, even though we can't understand them. Most of his favorite shows and movies are all Japanese, such as Sailor Moon, Samurai Pizza Cats, XL Saga, Sonic X, Transformers, and the Pokemon movies. Conventions. Chris went to Anime Mid-Atlantic in 2004 and 2005 and was very happy to receive cheap plastic trash all the way from Japan. He later attended OmegaCon in 2015 and 2016. He didn't do anything at these places other than buying food and trinkets and talking to weebs. Is Chris a weeaboo? No, a weeaboo is a Western person who is obsessed with Japanese culture, often regarding it as superior to all other cultures. Though Chris does have some qualities that he shares with actual weeaboos, he doesn't consider Japan to be the best. He merely enjoys certain things from Japan more than the ones created locally. And that's everything from Japanophilia. Hopefully you guys learned something today. If you liked this video, hit the like button. If you really like it, share it. If you want to see more, then subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and bye.